Welcome everyone, people here and people in their homes or wherever they may be, to the Tibetan Buddhist Society again, this peaceful land of joy. I was just commenting before we started how beautiful it is looking out the windows here at the gardens and the flowers and the bees busily going about their business. It's truly delightful. My name is Pam and I'm a long-term student of Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, who's in the photo behind me and also up there. He's our precious founder and spiritual leader of this centre, our traditional Tibetan Buddhist temple and the beautiful gardens. So let's start today with our tradition of marvellous prayers, which will come up on your screens now. We commence with the general prayers on page 19 of our prayer book, peaceful, calm and focused. Let us begin with praise to Shakyamuni Buddha in English. Teacher, Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly pure and complete Buddha, all-knowing, having poise, Sugata, apprehender of the world, navigator of beings to be subdued, incomparable, teacher of gods and humans, to the Buddha, the Bhagavan, the glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, we prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. And next we take refuge and generate bodhicitta with the second prayer, refuge in the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. We establish our heartfelt bodhicitta motivation for our practice today, a wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, first in Tibetan, Sanghi Chodong Soki Chok Nam La Jang Chu Ba Du Dat Ni Kap Su Chi Da Ge Jin So Ge Pe Son Nam Ki Drola Pan Chi Sangye Drupa Shok. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. And then a short mandala offering in Tibetan. Jaji Poki Jukshin Me Tok Tram Rira Ling Shi Gen Pari Sangye Jin Du Mi Te O Wari Drokun Nam Dakshin Cho Pasho. This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus, May all beings enjoy such pure lands. Then turning over to page 21, the 7-limb prayer. We recite this magnificent 7-limb prayer, which is our entire guide to the Buddhist life and path. I prostrate my 3 doors with a mind of respect and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. And then the prayer of the lineage gurus in English. Body born from a million magnificent excellent virtues, speech fulfilling the hopes of infinite beings, a mind that sees all objects of knowledge precisely, I bow my head to the chief among the Shakyas, supreme sons of the incomparable teacher, carrying the load of all the conqueror's deeds, by their emanations appearing in countless realms, I prostrate to Maitreya and Manchushri. The mother of conquerors is difficult to fathom. The precise thought is in commentaries written by Jamdavigda's ornaments, Nagarjuna and the Sangha. I prostrate at the feet of those most renowned in the 3 realms. From these 2 great chariots come the excellent lineages, the paths of profound view and vast deeds, their essential points gathered thoroughly and without fault. Prostrations to the lamp holding this treasury of instruction, giving explanation through compassion by seeing precisely and completely the essential points for paths of Sutra and Tantra, holder of the conqueror's entire holy Dharma, prostrations to the glorious Losang Drakpa. I, seeing all the infinite teachings, supreme way of crossing for those entering the journey to liberation, moved by compassion to deeds skilled in method, prostration to the spiritual masters who make everything clear. And then on page 27 in English, Great Treasury of Excellence. The Great Treasury of Excellence, which is also called the Prayer of the Path to Enlightenment, composed by the unequaled second Buddha, Jetsun Tsongkhapa. The kind master is the basis of all qualities, and proper reliance is the root of the path. By seeing this excellence and through much striving, bestow blessings to be devoted with great respect. This gentle support of freedom obtained this one time is most difficult to achieve. Knowing its great value gives rise to a mind seizing its essence constantly, day and night. Bestow blessings to generate this continuing unceasingly. It is like a bubble in water. By gaining suffering, do not be content with these enjoyments. By knowing its defects, bestow blessings to develop a great aspiration for the bliss of liberation. By that pure thought, great consciousness is drawn forth, and mindfulness and awareness of the individual liberation, the root of the teachings. Bestow blessings to make this the essential practice. Just as I myself have fallen into samsara's ocean, all living beings as mother are also like that. By seeing the responsibility for the liberation of beings, bestow blessings to be trained in the supreme bodhicitta. However, by merely generating the mind, if not acquainted with the 3 aspects of ethics, enlightenment will not be attained. By seeing this excellence, bestow blessings to train with strong effort in the vows of the conqueror's sons. Pacifying distraction toward perverse objects by way of proper analysis of the perfect meaning, bestow blessings to swiftly and continuously generate the path related to the union of calm abiding and special insight. Thus, becoming a vessel trained in the common paths, enter the Vajrayana, supreme evolution of all vehicles, bestow blessings to engage the easy path itself, that sacred way of crossing for fortunate beings. The basic practice for the two aspects of attainment is when guarding the pure vows of commitment is found to be genuine and certain. Bestow blessings to protect them even at risk of life. Then, by understanding properly the important points, which are the essence of the two stages of the Tantra classes, bestow blessings to practice according to these holy teachings with continuous effort in the supreme four-session yoga. Like that, may the spiritual friend revealing the gentle path and the friends of proper practice stand firm. Bestow blessings to quickly pacify the masses of outer and inner hindrances. In all rebirths, may I never be parted from the perfect gurus and the enjoyment of the glorious Dharma. By utterly completing all qualities, paths and grounds, may I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. Thank you, everyone. I was saying last week, those prayers are so beautiful for me because I have been saying them for several years now. For other people, they may just be words, but I think even hearing the words of Buddha, the words of Dharma, the words of our teacher Geshe, it truly moves our hearts to compassion and love for everyone, all sentient beings. So thank you for joining me. So this is the third week of our ongoing Path to Enlightenment classes. If you were able to join us last week, you'll remember we were reviewing the first sections of our text here that I've got here. This is the text that we use in Geshe-la's Path to Enlightenment. We're reviewing the first sections, part 1, the preliminary teachings, and part 2, how to rely on a guru. As we continue our review this week, we'll marvel at our good fortune to learn about these teachings and indeed even know that they exist. We'll continue our review at the path of the small scope, then starting to hear about karma and its implications, so important in our current lives and our future lives. Of course, we enjoy a couple of meditations, so helpful in our Dharma practice and our everyday lives. And all the while we'll be recalling what a dear monk friend said to me many years ago, if it ain't joyful, it ain't Buddhism. So today, let's start off with this joyfulness, the joy of meditating. We'll use a visualization meditation, first about caring for ourselves and then caring for others. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama says that in Geshe-la's book says that visualization is an imaginative process that is done with our minds. Do not think that you should see things as you do when your eyes are open. We are generating mental images in our mind's eye. For beginners, these images will be vague, but as we progress and develop familiarity with visualization, they will become more vivid. So, are you ready? Here we go. If you're not used to meditating, don't worry. I'll lead you through it step by step, and hopefully you'll really enjoy it. If it ain't joyful, it ain't Buddhism. So, using our usual meditation preparations, by first of all getting our bodies physically ready to meditate, by establishing our 7-point posture of Virachana. So settle your bottom, whether it's on your seat or your cushion, that's the first bit, get yourself nice and stable. Then legs crossed if you're sitting on the floor, or if you're more comfortable, please sit comfortably on a chair with both feet stable on the floor. Sometimes it's helpful to put a cushion under your feet so that your feet can be firmly balanced, not sort of hanging in midair, and just use as many cushions as you like to make yourself comfortable, please. The point is to meditate, not to make this a torture where you see how long you can bear pain. So your legs are crossed, your feet are settled. Well done. Hands, with the right hand on the left, palms up, and the thumbs just touching. This mudra symbolises concentration and the liberation which arises from such concentration. Try and make your backbone straight so that your internal channels are also straight. Consciousness is supported by the subtle winds which flow through these channels. Mouth, jaw and tongue relaxed in a natural position, and then head tilted just slightly forward at about a 45-degree. That's the best way to do it, so that, because if you let your head fall too far forward, I'll guarantee that you'll fall asleep, particularly on days like this where it's lovely and warm. And if you put your head up too high, you'll become agitated. So if you put your head at about a 45 degrees, so you're focusing about 1.5 meters, 2 meters in front of you on the floor, that's a really nice way to do it. And you'll notice as you do that, that what happens is this part of your chest sort of lifts up a bit, which is really nice straight posture, and it also enables your breathing and so forth to go really smoothly. So you feel much more like a trunk of a tree, more stabilised on your cushion or the chair. So mouth, jaw and tongue relaxed in a natural position. Head tilted slightly forward. Your eyes are closed gently or half closed, whichever you prefer. And your shoulders are level and your arms are relaxed. As we establish our meditation posture, we settle into an awareness of our body, just taking note of it. If you need to move a little bit to make yourself stable and comfortable, this is a good time to do it so you don't interrupt yourself later. Having done awareness of our body, let's do awareness of our breath. Gently slide your concentration to this second awareness and concentrate with the movement of the air, perhaps just inside the tip of your nose or the rising and falling of your chest, wherever you wish to focus on. Focusing on, in your own normal rhythm, your breathing in and your breathing out. Taking your time. You have this whole hour and a half for yourself. How kind of you to look after yourself this way. Awareness of breath is the bridge that takes us from the external world to the wonderful inner world of mind and meditation. And as we gently observe our breath, we can establish the third awareness, awareness of mind. Gently being with your mind. How does your mind feel when you rest this way? Quietly, peacefully meditating, let's care for sentient beings using the Waterfall Meditation adapted from Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. As you go, you might be able to notice the structure of this meditation. Starting with the first part, caring for ourselves. As we begin with our eyes gently closed, I want you to imagine that somewhere above your head, not too far away, perhaps a metre or so, is a beautiful radiant white light waterfall. It is so beautiful, wonderful, like something you've never experienced before. White light tumbling down, flow after flow. That beautiful white light is tumbling down onto you. Its flow so lovely that you can feel your body sigh with relief and pleasure. As the waterfall of white light flows down over your head relaxes, your face is smooth, and your eyes are gently closed. You can feel the white light's gentle flow. Now the white light flows down over your neck and shoulders. Your neck and shoulders are relaxing and letting go of all the tension and stress they carry. Tension and stress are gone. And as the waterfall flows down over your arms and hands, you feel your arms releasing. There is nothing for your arms and hands to do except relax. The waterfall of white light flows down over your back. Your back is letting go and relaxing. Down it flows over your chest and stomach, helping them to release. You can feel them relaxing, letting go of all anger or hurt or sadness. The beautiful waterfall of white light moves down over your legs and feet. Feel your legs and feet letting go and resting. Waterfall is flowing over your whole body. You are very peaceful and rested. Your whole body is radiant with the waterfall's beautiful white light. Just stay in the waterfall of white light for a while and enjoy the feeling as the light relaxes and heals your body. Breathing naturally. The white light relaxes and heals your body in a way that has no words. Enjoy that feeling and know its purity. Don't let everyday distractions steal this time from you. Bring your mind gently back to the waterfall, bathing your body in happiness, gentleness, and peace. If you become agitated, just settle again with 1 or 2 sighing breaths, breathing out the agitation and focusing your mind back on the flow of white light. Flow after flow, peaceful and calming white light. This is such a beautiful start to our meditation, appreciating and nurturing our own essence of peace and calm. Resting our minds in that caring and kindness for ourselves. Now let your focus move from yourself to those you know and love, your family, friends, all those you know and love. Bring them into your mind. Know that they are all sitting around you. You don't have to see each person individually. Just know that they are there. From the tenderness of your heart, radiate out your beautiful white light to your loved ones, radiating it out to them. Imagine that they too are bathed in this life. They too find peace and happiness in the white light. Then hold this knowing and focus on it single-pointedly in your mind. Now bring to mind all those people you know, but perhaps not so well. Your work colleagues, acquaintances, neighbours and so on. It doesn't have to be each person individually. Just know that they are there. From the compassion of your heart, radiate out that beautiful white light to all these people. Imagine that they too are bathed in this white light. They too know their peace and happiness. Then hold this single-pointedly in your mind. Now bring in all those people you don't know, strangers, and all those living beings that you are unaware of, not even aware that they exist. And bring in those you may not like, have negative feelings towards, and those who don't like you. Bring all these beings in. Doesn't have to be each one individually. Just know that they are there. From the love and compassion of your heart, radiate out that beautiful white light to all those people. Imagine that they too are bathed in this light. They too know joy, peace, and happiness. Hold this knowing single-pointedly. Know that all living beings are bathed in your peace and happiness. Your joy is far deeper than any single focused one. Sit quietly and enjoy this knowing. Then when you are ready, gently finish the meditation and open your eyes. So that's another beautiful meditation that encourages us to gently care for ourselves and to extend that caring to those we love and then out further to all sentient beings. Meditations like the one we just did are such caring, healing meditation. The white light flows gently and it restores our peacefulness and well-being. They soften our hearts and prepare us for the studying of Dharma. Today's teachings from Geshe-la's Path to Enlightenment book are also care for us, but in a different way. They show us that we can actually do this. We can achieve the ultimate goal of enlightenment. We have the conducive life of leisure and fortune, providing all the causes and conditions necessary to do it. We have the cautionary instructions about impermanence, death and rebirth, and the guiding love of the three jewels. So let's continue with our review from last year's teachings, starting off with the leisure and fortune chapter. Don't need to have the text, but if you do have it, it's on page 197, chapter 7. In this chapter, Geshe invites us to journey forth on the path to enlightenment by appreciating just how opportune this life is. We can reflect on the 8 freedoms of our fortunate birth. When we consider where we have been born, we can see that we have the 8 freedoms essential for practicing Dharma. We are free from being born in non-human states. We haven't been born in a hell realm, or as a hungry spirit, or in an animal realm, or as a long-lived God. And having been reborn as humans, we are free from any restrictions to Dharma practice. We don't live in remote and irreligious lands. We don't live in a dark eon where the teachings of Buddha are not available. We don't have impaired senses or mental faculties, except me. We don't have impaired senses or mental faculties that may impede our learning, and we don't hold wrong views, such as denying the 3 jewels. Considering our good fortune from another perspective, we also have the 10 endowments. At a personal level, we have the good fortune to be born as a human and in a central land with complete sense organs. We have not created the 5 extreme negative karmas, and we have faith in Buddha's teachings. From an external perspective, we have been born where Buddha has appeared and has given teachings. These teachings are still available to us, and there is the example of other practitioners, and there are people with loving nature to support practitioners and our practice. So when you consider these factors, such a fortunate rebirth is so important for us, but so wonderful that we have the good fortune to be born under these conditions. Pretty amazing. And then, not only that, this rebirth of leisure and fortune has enormous value, enormous potential. We can use it for the temporary goal of a higher rebirth with good conditions in this life. And we have the basis on which to make progress on the path, and so we have ultimate value. And our life can have value in every instant with mindfulness all our activities can become a cause for enlightenment. So the question becomes, how can we make the most of this fortunate rebirth? And the answer to that is that this is what the path to enlightenment is all about. As I was saying last week, there are 3 incremental steps on this path. The first step, the small scope, is the path of renunciation, and this is about wanting to escape cyclic existence, the samsara that we are living in right now, so that we can abide in a state of blissful peace and permanent happiness. Those drawn to the medium scope, the path of bodhicitta, want to live this life with loving kindness and great compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then there is the great scope, the path of wisdom, where with the goal of enlightenment, we cultivate the wisdom to see the true nature of all things. So in part 3 on page 223, in the small scope, we start to take the essence of leisure and fortune by training in the path of the small scope. We develop the aspiration for benefiting our future lives by considering the inevitability of our death and all the potential sufferings that may ripen in our future lives. We recognise that we can only achieve happiness by taking refuge in the 3 jewels and appreciating that our every action generates karma. The first thing we need to acknowledge is death and impermanence. Everything produced is by nature impermanent. All products disintegrate because their very existence is a result of causes, conditions, and the collecting together of various parts that do not have the power to sustain themselves permanently. These words sound quite complex, but they are a core teaching that inspire us to practice. Knowing that all things are impermanent really challenges our procrastination and encourages us to keep on with our practice. In our own lives, whether we like it or not, death is certain. Our death is certain. Our lifespan cannot be increased. It decreases continuously. Believe it or not, we are all getting older. Death will certainly come, regardless of whether we have made time to practice Dharma or not. Also, the time of death is uncertain. Whether older or younger, death is coming, but when is the question. There is no way to know. So much is conducive to death rather than life in the way we live. Just thinking about the possible causes, floods, fires, earthquakes, so many illnesses and diseases, road accidents, acts of violence, wars and so forth. Our bodies are actually quite fragile and very prone to problems, and mental stresses challenge us all. So death is certain, the time of death is uncertain, and at the time of death, nothing but the Dharma can help us. We go beyond the support of family and friends. Our wealth is useless and our bodies are discarded. We take nothing with us. Only our wisdom of Dharma remains with us throughout future lives. As Nagarjuna says, when we take on board these teachings of Buddha, we begin to quote Nagarjuna, retain a level head about the 8 worldly dharmas, those time wasters that keep sucking us in all the time. When we retain a level head, we don't get so caught up in accruing wealth or having a good time or wanting others to tell us how wonderful we are. And then our procrastination fades. Our practice becomes more powerful and we become beneficial for ourselves and others. The 9th chapter on page 255 onwards, the 9th chapter on lower rebirths makes it clear that when we die, there are only 2 options. Rebirth as a being with favourable conditions and circumstances in the higher realms, or rebirth as a being with unfavourable outcomes in the lower realms. You do not have a choice about this. It is determined by the ripening of your karma. Meditating on the suffering of the lower realms, the experiences of those beings in the animal realm, the hell realms, and the hungry ghost realms is not to depress us or cause us suffering. What's happening is that we come face to face with a huge reality check. If we are fortunate, this triggers strong renunciation and the motivation to get on with it. So moving on to chapter 10, page 277 onwards. So what can we do from here to maximise our opportunities? As explained in Taking Refuge in the 3 Jewels, we definitely have options about what happens from here on. By taking refuge in the 3 Jewels, we can maximise the benefits of this life to influence our future lives. We are told in chapter 10 that the causes of going for refuge are a mind of fear about suffering and the confident belief that the 3 jewels can protect us from that suffering, the suffering of the lower 3 realms, the suffering of cyclic existence in general, and the suffering of all living beings, where we strive to achieve enlightenment so that we can help all sentient beings. The objects of refuge are the 3 jewels, because only they can be relied on as the complete refuge from the suffering of cyclic existence of our daily lives. They show us the cessation of suffering and, so importantly, the path to that cessation, how we can do it. As you know, the 3 jewels are the Buddha Jewel, the Dharma Jewel, and the Sangha Jewel. The Buddha Jewel is the ultimate source of refuge and has 8 qualities of being. The first one is that the Buddha Jewel is non-produced. This means that it has no beginning or end and is pure of all faults. The Buddha Jewel accomplishes all activities effortlessly. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The qualities are beyond conception of us ordinary beings. The Buddha Jewel is endowed with wisdom and the compassion to show others the way. And it is through this wisdom and compassion that the Buddha Jewel is endowed with the power to release beings from their suffering, to release all beings from their suffering. The Buddha Jewel has 2 purposes of benefit for self, benefit for others. We just recall what we were doing in that meditation. What a lovely practice of that was. Rehearsal. The Buddha Jewel is also free from obscurations, the obscurations to liberation, how our karma and our delusions damage our lives. And the Buddha Jewel is also free of the obscurations to omniscience, the way our ignorance about reality damages our lives. So that's the first of the three jewels. The second of the three jewels is the Dharma Jewel, and this is the cessation of suffering and the path to that cessation, the marvellous 84,000 teachings of Buddha. So again, as with the Buddha Jewel, the Dharma Jewel has those two parts, telling us what it is and also telling us how to do it. So when we practice and meditate each day, we feel a lessening in our suffering. It makes us feel better. It is when that happens that we are experiencing the Dharma Jewel. The third jewel is the Sangha Jewel. There is the formal definition of the Sangha Jewel, which says, a superior being possessed by any of those 8 good qualities of realisation and freedom. But for ordinary purposes, the Sangha Jewel is any group of 4 or more monks or nuns. Of course, even this opportunity may be unlikely for us, particularly in these days of limited travel and so forth. It can be quite challenging for people to physically come together. So I sort of like to think that of the Sangha Jewel in lay terms as a group of like-minded practitioners who come together to practice Buddhism. For example, it is wonderful that we are here gathered today in Geshe-la's temple, that we are gathered in reality or virtually gathered to practice Dharma together. At the Tibetan Buddhist Society, we can be gratified that under these modern day conditions, with great love and compassion, the three jewels of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha can truly accompany us on our journey. There is a lot more marvellous information and instruction in the Taking Refuge chapter of Geshe-la's precious text, the qualities and powers of Buddha's mind, body and speech, and how we actually take refuge and so on. However, I think for the purposes of a review, I have said sufficient. I often find speaking Buddhism quite challenging because the words, they're English words, but they're quite technical, and it's very important to get them correct sitting here teaching. And my tongue sometimes decides to head off on its own journey, so it can be quite challenging. But anyway, so I guess we all have various challenges on our path to enlightenment. One of mine is being able to speak clearly, but there's plenty more that you can review, as I have said, and if you wish, from page 277 onwards. I find the words as I read them just delightful because it just sort of blows my mind how fortunate I am, we are, to even hear these words, even read them. Never mind being in a community, a lay Sangha, where we can actually practice together. I would like to make a comment before I move on to the chapter 10, which is the chapter on karma, which is the first chapter of our actual study this year as opposed to a review. When we study Dharma, we may risk mentally reducing Buddha's words to a whole lot of lists without much meaning. The 4 Noble Truths, the 5 Freedoms, the 3 Paths, the 7s of this, the 10s of that, and so forth. But how sad this would be. How unfortunate this would be. Buddha's word is fascinating in its thoroughness. It is an amazing historical philosophical document collected from Buddha's time 2,500 years ago and onward from there. But the point is, as I was saying before, these unique teachings are so much more than just philosophy. They are a manual of instruction to help us actually achieve enlightenment. With Geshe-la's great wisdom, kindness and patience indeed, given to us by Buddha, taught to us by Buddha, us, the people now, other people of course too, all sentient beings of course, but that includes us and how precious that is. So moving on to chapter 11, Karma, on page 321 in Geshe-la's precious text. Today we'll start looking at Karma, the final chapter in this path of the small scope. And we'll continue looking at Karma next week, and then the week after we'll move on to the path of the medium scope. This is just my own interpretation, I'll make that quite clear. But I feel that somehow the chapter on Karma and those following are more like a personal instruction to be taken on board immediately in my daily life. They are directly talking to me, excuse me, about what to do and what not to do now. And also, they are informing me that everything I do or I don't do always influence my karma, expressing itself in my current life now and in my future lives. The Karma chapter in the Path to Enlightenment is over 50 pages, by far the longest chapter in the entire text. I think it's 900 odd pages. I don't mean to interpret Geshe-la's intention, but I think that it is okay to say that by giving us such extensive teachings on this aspect of Buddhism, Geshe-la is demonstrating that we should really take very careful note indeed of the teachings on karma. First, Geshe-la describes karma in a universal context. Then we are instructed on the general characteristics of karma, the certainty of outcomes, good and bad, and why karma increases. We learn about the path of black actions, and I assume unfortunately familiar to us all to some extent, and the implications of those 10 non-virtues of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct and so forth. Then Geshe-la considers the path of white actions. And finally, we learn about the undeniable reality, inevitability of karma, ripening in our own lives, how it will affect us now, and the consequences on our future karmic ripenings. Karma is most curious, and with such far-reaching complex implications, such far-reaching complex implications, it is not possible for us to understand it completely. Influences from however many past lives, our actions of body, speech and mind in this life, and on into the future for who knows how long. For myself, the readings on karma and my trying to remember to live by them is like a big stop sign in my life, pulling me up and making me think and reflect on what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying. Is this what I want to do? Is this how I want to think? What karma am I creating for the future? Sometimes I feel a bit relaxed by it, but quite often when I think that way, it's really scary. But also remembering in the theme of our session today, if it ain't joyful, it ain't Buddhism. we should also celebrate that we do get it right sometimes. Compared to most sentient beings of the human realm, we are so fortunate. Never mind the fate of those in other realms. Some of us have had the good fortune of our most marvellous teacher, Geshe, and we all can access the books that he wrote for us. Of course, there are many other inspirational, authentic Buddhist teachers and practitioners to accompany us on our journey, such as His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And there are so many books and online resources to guide our path. So that ain't joyful. So I think that's a nice place to stop for today, in a joyful place of anticipation about how we can use our daily lives to generate positive karma that may ripen in this life, who knows, but certainly will ripen in our future lives. To summarise, we've certainly covered some ground today. Thank you for your patience and attention in doing so, and well done to us all. We've completed our review of last year's classes by covering Geshe-la's teachings on leisure and fortune and the initial teachings of the small scope of renunciation. Just thinking about that, it's the small scope of renunciation, but in brackets after renunciation is renunciation of suffering. What the small scope is about is I'm sick of suffering, I don't want to do it anymore. So I really enjoy the small scope because I start to realise that there is actually a way out of this, that we can do things in our lives, this life, next life, our karma going forward, that takes away from this suffering. So just to repeat, we completed our review of last year's classes by covering Geshe-la's teachings on leisure and fortune and the initial teachings of the small scope of renunciation, the teachings on death and impermanence, lower rebirth, and taking refuge in the three jewels. Next week, we'll resume our exploration of karma. So, to continue our theme today of if it ain't joyful, it ain't Dharma, let's enjoy meditation before our final prayers. And let's commence the meditation joyfully by enjoying another of Thich Nhat Hanh's calligraphies, please, Venerable Manakam. We've been using these a bit in this series, partly because they're absolutely delightful and so forth, but also to honour and pay homage to the passing of Thich Nhat Hanh earlier this year. This one appropriately says smile. Can you see it on the screen? I love his writing, to think that Thich Nhat Hanh actually picked up his calligraphy brush and wrote that for us. Not only for us, of course, but for us and all sentient beings is, truly delightful. So let's, only picture of it, which I'm very pleased about. So let's do a meditation, a smile meditation. We're doing this because I felt like doing it, so I enjoyed doing it myself at home, so I hope you enjoy it too. So, setting yourself up as usual for meditation. Become aware of your body. Make sure it's comfortable and settled. Second one's awareness of breath. The gentle going in and out at your own pace. Awareness of your mind. Letting it go to that peaceful, relaxed place. Don't clutter it up with shopping lists and getting up for work tomorrow. So boring when you can think of what you can do with your mind right now for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sitting quietly, enjoying the peacefulness of a breathing meditation for a few moments. Following your breath at your own pace, the in and the out. Moving away from the busyness of the outside world. Moving away even from the intellectual alertness of participating in this class. Going to that place of peace and calmness, resting your mind. What a relief. Resting quietly, breathing in and breathing out. Letting your mind follow your breath. Nothing else needs to happen. Buddhism changes our lives and particularly changes our hearts. It softens our hearts. As we learn to soften our hearts, it's so important to start with ourselves. To appreciate ourselves, warts and all. And to respect the efforts that we make to lead our lives as well as we can. So then, from that position of acceptance, love and kindness for ourselves, lives and make a difference. No matter how small or how large in the lives of others. So today, with our theme of if it ain't joyful, it ain't Buddhism, gently take your focus in meditation to your face. Bring your face into your meditation. You know your face so well, all the way from childhood. Perhaps it's starting to show a bit of wear and tear by now. But its familiarity is reassuring. Your face tells the whole story of your life, the good and the bad. As you sit here quietly enjoying your face, notice how your heart is warming to it. Perhaps you can sort of feel it in your jaw, just below your ears, and down the side of your throat. Maybe you can feel it at the top of your chest, between your shoulders. How beautiful to enjoy your face that way. You are so familiar with your face. It accompanies you everywhere and has witnessed all your life. Maybe things in your life that you would prefer you hadn't done, and that you wish hadn't happened. But your face begins to smile as you recall the efforts you have made to live in kindness and love. For yourself, for all humans, and all sentient beings. When you let your heart feel this way, can you feel the corners of your mouth softening? Can you feel the difference in your cheeks? How lovely it is to know that when you are kind to yourself, when you remember the efforts that you make, that your mouth naturally begins to smile. Let your face smile. Let your heart smile. Living your life in kindness and peace. Sit quietly and enjoy this knowing. If it ain't joyful, it ain't Buddhism. And when you're ready, gently finish the meditation and open your eyes. Thank you, everyone. Let's dedicate the merit from our efforts that we have made today in listening, thinking, and meditating on the words of Buddha. As I was driving out here today, I was thinking about sort of the world situation and how a couple of weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, we did a practice for world peace instead of our normal class because of the Ukraine situation. And I was thinking about how quickly our compassion and concern and love and worry for others, particularly those in the Ukraine situation, and the soldiers fighting on the Russian side and the karma they are generating, how quickly that compassion changes from acute compassion, if I can use these terminologies, these are mine, from acute compassion to chronic compassion. So the sharp edge goes off it, but somehow when we sort of like when we try to walk the Buddhist path, we can, I'm not sure how to put it, hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying, but we take that compassion with us, even though it's not in the forefront of our eyes, of our vision, of our meditation all the time. So we acknowledge and respect and have great sadness for what is happening. But it becomes in some way generalised in our being. And I guess that's one of the things that we'll talk about next week with karma and how we create our karma inadvertently and advertently by having compassion for what's going on in this world. So let's dedicate our merit thinking about specific situations in the world. But also, may our practice today bring peace and well-being in our lives. That's why I like the smile meditation, in our lives and in the lives of our loved ones. May the efforts of our practice bring peace and well-being to those around the world, particularly in people experiencing war, ill health, mistreatment and poor conditions. The Ukraine situation is really just one in this endless list, isn't it? May our efforts bring peace and well-being to all sentient beings in all realms. So, Venerable Manakam, we might recite our dedication prayers, the final prayer of the graduated path, page 31 in our prayer books, and we'll do that one in English. Excuse me. The final prayer of the graduated path. It's interesting, for those who perhaps don't know Buddhism very well, that this prayer is also composed by the unequalled second Buddha, Jetsun Tsongkhapa, as one of our earlier ones was. Jetsun Tsongkhapa, who established our tradition, how fortunate are we, and made the structure of Buddhism so much more understandable for us. I may be wrong, but I seem to be wanting to say that I think he wrote 300 texts for Buddhist practitioners to help us understand. So, how grateful are we? The final prayer of the graduated path. By the two collections, vastest space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a May I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also in all lives while not yet come to that, may Manchushri favour me with his compassion, finding the supreme path complete with all the stages of the teachings. May I please the conquerors by practicing well. By my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefits and bliss. The stages of the path excellently established by the marvellous deeds of the conquerors and their children, give glory to the minds of those aspiring for liberation. May the conqueror's deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans who remove the obstructions and establish conditions favourable to cultivating the excellent path never be parted from all of their lifetimes, from the purest of paths which the Buddhists have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly, the 10 points spread out, reaching all. And then our dedication, the general dedication on page 34, text. Tibetan, please. Gewati iki bokum sohonam yeshe sok shin sohonam yeshe lei Jungwei Daham Pakuni Tropashok. By this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit and attain the two holy bodies arisen from wisdom merit. Jangchu Sem Chok Rinpoche Mahake Panyam Ke Gushik Ke Panyam Pa Me Gane gandu helbashok. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated, and not decrease in those who have developed, but increase continuously. Our next class is 4 p.m. next Sunday, the 27th of March, where we shall continue learning about karma and enjoying meditation, the basis of our practice. I'm going to confidently say, with a smile, that the class will be in the temple and available online. So with all things been going well in Melbourne and Victoria, that will be so. And just to let you know that we are celebrating the New Year gathering, a morning of peace and renewal at 10 a.m. till midday, Saturday the 26th of March. It'd be wonderful if you can join us. There's further information and registration links on the website. So, discussions, questions, comments, cups of tea. For those of you at home. Oh, good. Thank you everyone at home. You please put on the kettle and enjoy your cuppa at home. And if you people have time and would like to, please join us outside for a cuppa there. Thank you.